Welcome to the Founders Forum podcast, brought to you by the Foxwell Founders, where we interview some of the hottest minds in D2C right now and deep dive on their area of expertise. Everyone that we interview here is a cherished member of our Foxwell Founders community of over 550 advertisers worldwide and are at the cutting edge of what is working right now. I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Andrew at Foxwell Digital. And now let's get stuck into this week's episode. Here are Edwin and Tris, our hosts.
Three best ways that we've ever seen to deal with this is
it's one of the things that's working really, really well for our agency right now.
Question of the week, right?
He's going to spill all the tea on TikTok for us. What is the wow strategy of the moment? If it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who buys it even at that time, right?
Guys, we are on episode 28 of the Foxwell Founders podcast. No gatekeeping here. We have Phil Kiel. He is the managing director at Hello Earth Agency. Here's a little secret. This is the guy that we call when we don't know what to do. So you guys are in for a treat today. Tris, kick it off.
Nice one. Phil, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for your time. I know you're a busy man. Listen, just starting off, right? As Edwin said, you're the first guy we call when things kind of hit the fan. You know, CPA's dropping, things are struggling. Where do you look? What do you do?
I mean, we've never had to do it as much as we have this year. Like, the fan is big this year. It's been like 12 weeks of shit hitting the fan. So
really,
if it's any consolation, I mean,
that's
a broad
consolation.
Yeah, if it's any benefit, like you're not alone. And I know that's not the answer to the question you asked, but I think it's just helpful to start off, especially for people who are like media buying internally. They've just got like one ad account. It's like tunnel vision. Like, I think it's easier when you're at or it's different when you're at an agency. You know, you might have 5 accounts, 10 accounts. If you're looking across every account under your agency, there could be even more than that. So there's definitely, you know, ups and downs, and when one account gets worse, another account improves because of something specific to that one account. So, like, these things do affect different accounts at different times, and we've definitely seen that this year. My first go-to is always look at seasonality. Like, has this change in performance happened before? Did it happen last year? 6 months ago? You know, what have we hit this same level of ROAS or CPA or conversion rate before? Is this a new low, for example? Has it never been this bad? Or actually, what's the comparison? You know, this isn't as bad as where we were in April 2023.
Okay.
Therefore, you know, so trying. It's not about painting a picture so that you can spin the client into, you know, don't worry about performance. It's actually helping you make better decisions. And everything that we do nowadays at the agency is all about increasing the chance that we make the right decision in the moment. Because you either go door 1 or door 2, left or right, increase spend, decrease spend, launch an ad, pause an ad, you know, test a new audience, pause that audience. And it really comes down to like a human making a decision a lot of the times, and therefore, I think you've got to start off with gathering that information. So seasonality, what's changed, yeah.
So just on that, like, so seasonality. Do you look at seasonality through CPM, CPA? Do you focus a lot more on like what is it that you're catching? Is it because seasonality is massive, right? I mean, we're coming in into April now. We're starting to see things pick up a little bit at the end of April. I don't know about you. Certainly, the first 4 months have been dog shit. But I think we can beep that out. But I think like after that, though, you know, what are you seeing that's improving? If you are seeing it improving, what do you go to when you start to be like, okay, seasonally the CPMs are up or down? Do you look at CTRs? Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, good question. So, revenue, it's got to be first point of call, because put yourself in the client's shoes. That's what they're going to be thinking about. You know, I did $2,000 yesterday. I did $5,000 the day before. Like, that's usually where they're thinking in revenue numbers. Then it's got to be CPA, ROAS, and conversion rate. So revenue, spend, CPA, cost per purchase, ROAS, and conversion rate. I would always recommend you focus on those and use those to make decisions. I think CPMs, click-through rates, cost per click, like they're all important because, you know, we've got one client, cost per clicks are up massively year on year and conversion rate is down, so therefore we're getting less traffic, it's converting less, and that's what we've had to struggle with like all year long. So we've got used to looking at that cost per click figure. So then when we've gone from like a £1 cost per click to like a 50p cost per click, that makes a difference, even though people might say like soft metrics don't matter. Well, like they do, because even if conversion rate stays the same, you know, we're up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I would go: revenue, CPA, ROAS, conversion rate, and then I would try and make a decision off those figures, and then I would start to look at like the softer stuff if I'm still stuck.
So you're running, the first step is seasonality. You're checking, all right, month on month revenue, or if I look at year on year revenue, does it display seasonal pattern? All right, cool. So let's say seasonality, we've taken seasonality out of the equation. What is the next step? What are your next steps after accounting for seasonality?
It's got to come down to what's changed. Where can you see change? And that's like a politician's answer. You know, it could be, are we in stock or out of stock? Did the theme change? Was there, you know, there used to be a pop-up, now there isn't a pop-up. Those sort of things are important because that the consumer experiences that change.
Okay.
So what's changed at the customer level that is changing how they behave. I'd get someone else to look at that. So go away, complete that project.
Yeah.
You've also got to be looking at what's changing in the ad account. Has the spend moved from over here on the left? You know, this, if you're in a CBO, this ad set used to receive all of the spend, and now it's moved to here. Like, why over the space of a week did we see spend move? Top spending ads. Has the top spending ad gone from ad 1 to ad 5? Like, why is that ad now receiving all the spend? Or has the opposite happened where all of the spend has stayed very consistent? It's just been drilled into one ad set. It's just been drilled into one ad. And actually what you're seeing is sometimes when you get an ad with a lot of spend, it can be quite polarizing. The engagement on the ad just builds up such a momentum, especially if it's like more negative engagement. At that point, okay, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to make a change. So you've got to start off with what's changed, and then B, do I need to make a change? Pause an ad set, pause an ad, those sort of things.
And are you typically then going for ads first, or are you going for ad sets first? Where's the kind of the first changes you're making?
Yeah, good. Yeah, so at the ad level, usually that's predominantly because like Advantage Plus, so you've just got one ad set at the moment.
True.
CBO, with usually like 2 ad sets max, and usually one of them gets all the spend. And then if you're testing creative in like an ad set budget campaign, you know, you're going to be changing at the ad level. Especially because that's the bit that touches the consumer, is the ad. I think ad sets nowadays, like ad sets kind of just like overlap. So all the ad sets kind of speak to the same customer.
This is it. You get that notification in Facebook. You see a lot of people say it's saying overlapping. How much are you paying attention to that? Is that really a thing that's going to change your decision?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and a lot of like if we're talking about performance getting worse, you know, reducing the number of live ad sets. And I've just said start at the ad level, but if you've got like 10 live ad sets and you don't think you're spending enough to justify 10 ad sets, like half them, start to pause the worst performers. And what you'll usually see is you'll get the same number of sales, but they'll be attributed to fewer places. And that goes back to what I mentioned earlier around decision making. I would much rather have 2 ad sets with 20 sales attributed between them, rather than 10 ad sets with 20 sales attributed between them. Because then you can say, you know, 15 are here, 5 are there. that's what we're scaling into. Whereas if you've got 10 ad sets and it's like ones and twos sales attributed between them, it's like there's no statistical significance to say I'm going to put my mortgage on this ad set. So reducing the number of live things, that's what we, if we do an audit, that's one of the first things we look at a lot of the times is you've got too much stuff live.
And so let's say you have the ad account, right? You've accounted for seasonality. Your top sellers are in stock. You didn't change the theme. Everything your head is just spinning. So it used to be that we would just destroy and we would rebuild from a retargeting base. A lot of us now, retargeting is taking, a lot of us, let's be honest, we don't spend that much on retargeting anymore. So tell us, what is the plan? Are you destroying and rebuilding? Like when your head is just spun around all different ways, like what is the go-to strategy?
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there are very frequently duplicating everything and pausing. We don't do that much of that because I like to have a bit more faith that the campaign and the ad set that we've invested hundreds of thousands, millions in,
The last 6 months of your life.
Yeah, I'm not going to bin it. And then, you've got to answer to the client, so that's what we're paying you for, is to just copy and paste. And it's like, I hope we can have it. Well, some people see success. I would be scared if nothing else is working, and we've gone through all those bits that we've just spoken about. This year we have seen improvements when we've scaled back, given it a week. We've seen improvements during that lower spend, and then that's then given us data points to say, I'm going to scale up now, here, here, and here.
Okay.
Scale back, you see CPA improve.
Okay.
You're now getting the CPA that you were getting 2 weeks ago at higher spend, and then that then gives you the right information to make a decision again, and hopefully
Makes
that's
sense.
scale back up.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And so, I mean, look, on this, the question comes in. Obviously, we're talking about testing new things. When you go back to start scaling back up again, one of the things you may see, for example, and throwing some examples I've seen the last couple of weeks, CTR is obviously dropping, and we want to try and increase people clicking through to our site. Answer is really statics. That's not really going to get the message out there, though. Right? You've got a little bit of a complex product. Well, what way would you approach that problem if you're getting you've got some static. You've got some statics that kind of look okay, but they don't get the message across. Are you putting those in, testing them, or what are you looking for then? Like, how do you get to videos?
Yeah, so everything we've spoken about so far has been, website, business, stock, sort of ad account stuff where, we've ignored the biggest lever, which is, the marketing element. And usually when performance drops off, that's the bit that you kind of ignore. You focus on, what's going on in the ad account. Our go-to is really challenging the idea that the creative doesn't speak to what our customers care about. And this only really works with direct response, problem solution type products. If you're selling a premium streetwear brand, you're not going to use it's a different type of messaging. You're not tapping into what someone cares about. You're just tapping into a desire to purchase the product. So this only really works with skincare, health products, those sort of problem solutions. So yeah, do I think this message is very sharp and very pointed, and my customers care about it and care about the output that we're trying to sell? And usually if the performance isn't what we want, then the answer is no. The customers don't care about what we're not speaking to what they're looking for. So if it's it's classic, fine lines, wrinkles, aging, sleep, those sort of human truths that we want to try and tap into, like weight, your appearance, confidence, those sort of things. If you go sharper on those, that's usually when you can hit new levels of performance that exceed where you were previously. And I actually think when we see performance drop off, the natural reaction is to try and get performance back to where we were.
Yeah.
Whereas if performance is dropped off, we've our backs are against the wall, we've got nothing to lose. What we should be really trying to do is exceed our previous benchmark, because that is the moment where, we haven't really got anything to lose.
So it's kind of throwing, not quite Hail Marys, but kind of throwing kind of longer shots at the target, because we're gonna, what are you gonna lose? You're gonna get slightly better. You want to kind of go triple.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time at the briefing stage, so we've definitely developed our like static briefing doc now, where there's a lot more fields in it that the designer that aren't totally beneficial to the designer. Normally when you create a brief for a graphic, it's like, these are the images that we want you to use, this is the inspo, this is the in-image messaging, these are the formats required, put them in this folder. Actually, we've got a lot more info in that brief now, which is what's the strategy behind the brief. We're seeing growth in this product market on Google Trends or something like that. Why does this brief and ag exist? So we're not just making it to tick a box. We're not just making it because we've got a quota to deliver a set number of creatives. Why do we think the customer will care about this creative? And those are all things that our media buyers do it. You might have a creative strategist. Those are all things that we want that person to think about before they get to the bottom bit, which is the text in the image that we want people to use. Go deeper. It's about when someone has a creative idea, it's about challenging them. So what do you mean by that? Okay, but what do you mean by that? So yeah.
And so so the reality, so when performance is bad, the reality is, look, we're working on it. You got to figure it out. But there's also a communications part of it, right? Because you're on the chopping block, right? And so what are ways that you found to like effectively communicate or just basically to get grace, right, from the customer to give you enough bandwidth to figure it out?
You've got to show them that you understand how important it is. So you've got to be interested in what's happening. So on the front foot. So taking the performance to them rather than letting them spot it and why are we seeing this drop off. So attacking it, owning the activity. So this is what we're seeing. This is why we think it's happened, and this is what we're going to do. I think actually Tris has got a great sort of example of how you structure that 3-part piece. And if it is like a platform-wide issue, including that. So this is Edwin. This isn't just your problem. We're also seeing it across these other brands. Across our like portfolio. That might provide some reassurance. It's tough. I think jumping on a call, taking comms out. We speak with clients in Slack, but it can be helpful to do these things. If you've got 5 minutes to chat right now, so it's difficult, and it takes time to learn. And actually, I think the biggest benefit to this is it's about banking trust. So when performance is great, you're putting trust in the bank. So you've got to work really hard on your account management then, so that when the shit hits the fan, you can beep that out. That you can withdraw that trust. You can cash in on it.
Yeah.
I think if you do a bad job when performance is great, you're not going to have any slack when when you need it. So it's about playing the long game. Yeah.
I hear that. I hear that. So just on that, like, so, when it comes to kind of the basis of that, talking about like doing a good job, it's that part that you mentioned there, is this doing the job and then telling someone you're doing the job. It's kind of identifying that as well in the good performing teams versus the poor performing teams. In the good performing teams, you've got like you've got that micro chat, you've got that conversation. Hey, this is working, this isn't working. I think some of the best creative teams I've seen and best creative performance that I've seen is when the media buyer is super clear with the creative, and there's a really kind of tacit understanding of where they're trying to get to. I think that's what you're referring to. I think is massively important. I guess the question I have, like on the back of that for you, is just like, how do you communicate between media buyer and creative? Like, what is the kind of the key level of understanding that both sides have to have for you for it to perform very well?
I think they have to almost swap jobs.
Like a secret undercover boss kind of thing.
Yeah, undercover boss, but no, yeah. No one gets shouted at. So yeah, they've got to be respectful of each. They've got to walk in each other's shoes, basically. So, like we do. Fortunately, we have some like creative strategists who actually joined us as media buyers.
Nice.
So that's perfect because, like, they could jump into the ad account and build the ads if they wanted to. They've got that level of, they can look at and they can review the performance figures and they can speak to the client about, like, the media buying element of that creative.
Yeah.
And then media buyers who understand marketing and that, human truth, speaking to what customers care about. That's the biggest skill that a media buyer can learn nowadays, I believe, to improve their performance. And if you're listening and you're thinking, okay, well, how do I take my very analytical media buyer and get them to think about that? I would walk them through writing a brief, one a week. Why are we making this brief? Why is the customer going to care about this brief? Like why, or like the creative that comes out of the brief, and it's about reps. Just like we were speaking about the gym earlier on. Like it's going to be hard at the start, but the more you think about that, the better. So yeah, they've almost got to overlap, and then being personable. I think that's really helpful. So like they're not the worst team is going to be when there's like a competition. And the media buyer thinks it's the creative's fault, and the creative thinks it's the media buyer's fault.
Yeah.
Same team, same goal. Like, you've got to spell that out. Yeah.
Makes a ton of sense. And like, this is the thing. You say you had somebody join your team who's a creative strategist, or a media buyer turning into creative strategist, vice versa. That's fantastic. Like that's the euphoria of what you're trying to define, or the nirvana what you're trying to find. I think the thing that obviously brands and in-house people are going to struggle with that, right? So you're the same coin. You're two sides of the same coins. You're trying to fight to fill both roles. What are the things do you think that you should look out for first? Should you be looking at media buying things first, or should it be more creative focused? What is, like, because you're the guy that we, like you said at the start, we look to for when stuff goes wrong. Am I looking at this going, creative sucks? Or am I going, is this audience sucky? Or like, I know this is, we kind of talked about it a second ago about like, where do you look first? But what hat do you put on first when you sit down and look at that account? Because you've got both hats, right?
Yeah. If you can just tick this box from a media buying point of view, then you can do everything at the creative and marketing level. And the media buying box that you have to tick first is, do I have too many campaigns, ad sets, and ads live for my budget?
Okay.
We've reviewed some accounts recently where they're spending like £200 a day and they've got like 5 campaigns.
No.
Wow.
And like multiple ad sets in each campaign.
Wow.
Oh.
And they're trying to test like creatives through like a process where like creatives get duplicated through like a structure.
Yeah.
And
So,
like
so
250
is that a
ads.
number? Is that because we obviously you and I, that like to us three here, obviously that makes a ton of sense. Do you have a number based on, like, you look at it and go, I'm spending X amount, but my CPA is, because that might make sense if $2 or £2 is a CPA. Like, what is the number in comparison to, in reference for that company?
Yeah, I know you can. So like back in the day, you would look at sort of like 50 conversions a week. What's the CPA, and try and come up with a number like that. I don't do that often, to be honest, because I try and look at, okay, what can the business afford to spend across the account, and and how does it work? Testing new creatives. How many new creatives have we got? All that sort of stuff. To answer your question, if you've got more than 3 campaigns, you best be spending more than 1,500, more than $2,000 a day.
Right.
I really think.
Okay, so
I
there's
really,
a
I
number.
really,
There's a...
yeah. Because and it comes back to this piece. So that's the tick box. You know, you've got to have less. So if you're spending $1,000 a day and you've got more than 3 campaigns, you better have a good reason. That sounds a bit threatening, doesn't it? But, like
Uncle Phil's coming for you.
Yeah, like, there's got to be. I'm going to be checking your homework. There's got to be a justification. You know, and there's always reasons why you might argue against that justification. You know, is it different countries? Is it different segments? Is it different products? But like less, especially if performance is dropping off. Put it all together in one campaign, one Advantage Plus, one CPO. Once you've got that box ticked, it's got to go to the ad level, the creative, the copy, the landing page, the website, the product, the offer, the price point. There's always that anecdote where if your product is good enough, if the price point is good enough, you can have the worst setup in Meta. You can have like the worst ads as well, and you can have the worst website. Like, and you'll still get like a 7% conversion rate. So what I'm trying to say is you've got to focus on speaking to that customer. Once you've got the foundations correct and you're not, you know, spending £200 a day on 10 campaigns.
So let's say you have, let's say you have an account, you're looking at the account, it's consolidated in, but you're experiencing a CPM spike, right? Like you're looking year on year and CPMs are literally 2x of what they were year on year. The ads are still, it's a lifestyle brand. Ads are just vibes, right? Right. See, they're in season. What do you do to help that situation? Or is that just a situation that you just need to pull back a little bit and write it out? Like, what do you do?
Hopefully you've been building your email list.
Okay.
Because at that moment you might, you know, cash in on a segment in that email list, or you know, hope and the risk there is that you then start to squeeze that list too much, and you can't then rely on that list, you know, in 2 months down the line at Q4 or whatever, you know. So looking at your email list, because that's not a CPM game then. You've already invested in that asset.
So flash sale to the email list.
Yeah, or, you know, remind them that you've got a new product. Yeah, 90% off. That's the one. Good thinking, Edwin. You know, remind them of a new product launch. Have you got product that's just coming back in stock? You know, if you're trying to be careful with the messaging, that's what I would be doing straight out the gate. And then potentially scaling back. But you've got to be cautious with that because that might kill all of your momentum.
Okay.
And then you've got to really look at your numbers and understand, is this a CPM spike that is going to go back down? Or is this the new normal? And we need to change our thinking, because if we can make the business work at this increased CPM, we'll win and outlast our competitors.
How do we know that?
I would usually presume that the CPM isn't going to go back down.
Wow.
Like it doesn't, does it?
It's always on an up and to the right. That's how they increase the stock price, right?
Yeah.
Did that just mess up your day? It kind of messed up my day a little bit.
Yeah, just a touch. It was sunny outside a second ago. The clouds have come out.
Yeah.
There's a damning statement if I've ever heard one.
If we're talking about a case of like what actions can you actually take, so making sure that you've got the creative that the platform wants to spend into different placements. So like stories, reels, those sort of things usually have a lower CPM. So is all the creative in the account one by one square? You're never going to spend on reels and stories if you've just got square assets. So increasing your ability to spend into those different placements. Are you just using interest targeting? Broad targeting might have a cheaper CPM. Can you ship internationally? That's not straightforward for everyone, but that can be a way to sort of spread the load. I mean, one brand we work with at the moment. They're a UK account. They've been trying to get into the US for a long time. Their CPC is up year on year, and their conversion rate is down in the UK. So more expensive traffic, therefore, and they're trying to spend the same. So therefore, less traffic on site.
Oh no!
And conversion rate is down. So like squoze at every angle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're testing ads in the US now. CPM is double.
Wow.
But their click-through rate has gone from like 0.8 to like 3%.
What?
So their cost per click has gone from £1 to 50p. So, and conversion rate has stayed flat. So it's not like the US traffic is converting at a better rate. It's just that the US traffic is 50% off. Yeah.
Right.
And that's because this brand's been live in the UK for like 5 years.
Okay.
And then we're going to, the UK's got like 60 million population, the US, however many hundreds of millions. And then it's like a brand new market. So I think that's how I would try and attack that CPM increase is how do we win with a higher CPM? Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Okay. And so, I mean, this is the other thing. So that just on that brand, I mean, without going into that brand too much in detail, I mean, they're starting off in the US, they're starting off a new market. They're building obviously some reach and awareness. Would you run reach and awareness campaigns before starting running retargeting? Is that a strategy still in 2024?
We're doing it a little bit. We're not doing it across every account just because we don't yet have the decision.
This is a slippery slope. Phil, you got to qualify it, or else all the Facebook reps are they're just gonna take that clip and they're just gonna play it to all their people.
Yeah. We're doing it a little bit, but we're not doing it enough because I'm not totally confident to say we should be doing that. I think when first time impression ratio was still a thing, I was a bit more bullish on like traffic and stuff because you could see first time impression ratio dropping over time, and there was a reason to do that. There is something that we're trying, which has been discussed a little bit in Foxwell Slack, but it hasn't. I don't think it's been shouted about enough yet, which is the idea of tracking how much additional Google traffic your meta ads drive.
Oh, branded search. Okay.
So you create a custom conversion for a page view on your pixel where the referring domain is Google.
Okay.
So first of all, if you do that, and then after a couple of weeks, you can add that as your column, a custom column. So you can have Google visit as a custom column. You can have cost per Google visit. And what that will tell you is which campaign or ad set or ad is driving people to search for the brand.
Wow. That's
but how do you know the order? How do you know the order? How do you know that? Because what you're saying is that they saw the ad on Facebook and then they Googled.
Yeah, so that would have to happen. The impression would have to come. The impression or the click, the view or the click would have to come before they've visited the site from Google.
Wait, but how do you ensure that? Because if it's a UTM, it doesn't ensure the order, right? Because it doesn't ensure the causality.
Yeah, because it's been attributed back to a campaign, which is on like a 7-day click or 1-day click attribution window.
Wait. Okay, say that again, so that my brain can process this again. So, you add a UTM param on all your campaigns.
No.
Walk through it.
No. Forget UTMs. Yeah.
Yeah, you create a custom conversion on your pixel.
Okay.
For a page view event.
Yeah.
Where the referring domain is Google.
Okay.
So that pixel event only fires when someone visits the website from Google, organic or an ad. That will fire that custom conversion.
Oh.
So then once that's up and running, you can then go into Ads Manager and add it as a column, and it will then say purchase, add to carts, initiate checkouts. All of those get attributed back to your campaigns after the person has clicked or viewed on an ad.
Yeah.
And then you then add Google visit an additional as an additional column, and you can see cost per Google visit, the number of Google visits, back to your Advantage Plus CPO, and it'll all be a much of a muchness. What we are seeing is traffic campaigns don't drive people to search for the brand. Engagement,
interesting.
Don't. Awareness, do. Awareness campaigns, we're seeing Google visits tracked back to those campaigns.
Okay.
But
this is starting to really be fire now. So you're tracking. So we're clear. Just really, because we've got to break this down step by step. You're tracking how much Google traffic is coming from your campaigns on Facebook by using custom conversions of people who search, who land on the site referred by Google.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Wait,
so if you double spend, will my traffic through my Google ads double? Ideally, it will be yes, because the whole halo effect would get bigger. There's
now a metric for that.
Yeah. And if you're on Amazon, then and your Amazon ad appears next to your Google Shopping, that logical people are going to be clicking on that as well. So you can't track that. So traffic, engagement, those campaigns we don't see yet drive additional Google visits. Awareness we do, so a brand awareness campaign. The final piece, which has only happened the last 7 days, is a conversion campaign optimized towards that custom conversion that we set up at the start. So it's a traffic campaign. So we're optimizing towards traffic where the referring domain is Google, and that we are seeing drive very, very cheap
qualified traffic.
Google visits. Yeah.
And are you finding that traffic optimized? Sorry. Oh yeah, go on.
Cheap.
Sorry, I don't. Yeah,
cheap. Go.
Money,
Go.
but money. Like we're buying houses. Like we're buying cars and we're buying houses. That's happening.
Yeah. So cheap CPMs, high click through rate. So it all looks like a traffic campaign. 4% click through rate. CPMs are lower. But then we are seeing them come back to the site via Google. I mean, it's early days. It's been live for a week or two. But we're spending.
Edwin want houses. Edwin want houses now. No.
I need like houses. I want house money. That is what I want. I want house money. Mama needs a new kitchen.
Yeah.
And straight. Okay, cool. So that's Jesus, Phil. That's top notch. I love that.
So that's like hot off the blocks. We've shared it a little bit in Foxwell Slack. So if you're thinking about joining, that conversation's already happening. In there, but I'll share more when I've got enough to put my mortgage on it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I was going to ask you. Just we talk a lot about Foxwell's the Foxwell group, and obviously we met through that, and I met Edwin, and we talk a lot about it. But is there anything that you would say to people who are thinking about joining?
There is a lot of places where you can chat. Performance marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, e-com, lead gen, all that sort of stuff on Twitter and LinkedIn, all different groups. The one thing that is really different on Foxwell, which I think has been different since day one, is zero ego. So I am in Foxwell as both an agency leader, someone who's got lots of ideas on how to run ad accounts. I'm sharing all that stuff. But I'm also very happy to post in the Foxwell group to say, why isn't this working anymore? And almost act, sort of, there's no ego, no risk of, question, and all types of brands. There's people spending $100,000 a day. There's people spending £50 a day, and I think you can learn from both ends of the scale, and that only happens in
I'm the same. I found myself learning so much, but also then from every aspect, right? Ad accounts to managing agency to managing a distribution. Everything in there is being next level. So I mean, it's great to hear that you're saying the same thing. It's not just me learning, as you say, zero ego, which is good. Super. Guys, that was an absolute banger. We went through so much. This is going to be the podcast you go to find out what's going wrong and how do you fix it. So listen, we went through it, like we talked about CPA, CPM, what's going to be the next difference, and should you really be running awareness campaigns? It's not what you might think. Anyway, I've been Tris.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Phil.
Thanks, well, guys. Talk next time.